Do you like this cute little guy? It eats like this, sleeps like this. When feeling bored, it squints in the sun. A few months later it eats like this, sleeps like this. You have to do your best if you want to hug it. By the way, you can also take it to the mall. 100% of people will turn their heads and look at it. This little guy is called Charlie. It is a Christmas present that Mie's father gives her. Because Mie is from London to Africa, she is extremely repulsive about everything here. Her father, John, hopes Charlie will change Mie's life. In addition to being stupid and cute, this little guy is also very well behaved. It can act coquettishly for attention. It hops on Mie's bed and rolls, begging for a hug. It also has the talent to destroy the house like husky dogs. It bites everything she sees. Mie also invents a special game for it. Looking at Mie's long-lost smile, John feels extremely happy. But the lion is not a cat after all. Charlie grows so fast. Mother, Alice reminds Mie several times that the wild nature of the lion is awakening. But Mie is still not close to it. She even reads books under the covers. When Charlie naughtily scratches her breeder, John is finally angry. He puts Charlie in a cage and sends Mie to boarding school. The starry sky in Africa is shining at night, and Charlie is staring at it. It seems to miss Mie. It doesn't eat or drink and allows other little lions to bite it. Its body is wounded, but it never resists. It keeps looking out of the cage as if waiting for Mie's return. Mie hears the news and constantly rushes back home. Seeing how close they look, John reluctantly agrees to let Charlie out. It doesn't take long for Charlie to completely establish its dominance. It jumps up and down at home. No one can control it except Mie. Mie ignores her mother's dissuasion. Mie turns her back to Charlie, and Charlie knocks her down. Alice is shocked, but Mie smiles. Although Charlie has grown wildly, it seems to be docile to Mie. It's just as if Charlie can't control her power and hurts Mie all over her body. Mie doesn't care. She seems to be inseparable from Charlie. Mie even finds a car to let Charlie make the most of her abilities. But Charlie is too big. John ignores Mie's objection and keeps Charlie in a cage. Through the cold iron cage, she looks at Charlie's lost look. Mie recognizes that Charlie doesn't belong to her. It doesn't also belong here. It should lie freely on the grassland. Mie secretly gets into the cage, puts her arms around Charlie, and takes a video. She wants to post Charlie online to let people pay attention to wild animals. But John discovers that video. He tells Mie that he intends to sell Charlie. Mie just sits next to the cage and stays with Charlie all night. On the next day, Mie sneaks into John's car. She wants to see the living environment of the animals being sold. She originally thinks lions can be sold to the zoo, but the truth is not like that. It is locked into a hunting ground. A woman bows her bow and shoots an arrow. One arrow hits, there is someone next to it to reinforce. She finally understands what John manages. He raises the animals on his own farm and sells them to hunters for their fun. After knowing the truth, she decides to send Charlie to a nature reserve. On a quiet night, Mie secretly opens the cage and takes Charlie on her way home. In the morning, Alice is taken aback. Large animals are scurrying around the house. Through monitoring, John knows that Mie released them and took Charlie away. He hurriedly finds someone to help him. He goes out looking for Mie with an anesthesia gun. He comes to the only water source nearby, and finds Charlie but does not see Mie. He is surprised to see Mie raise the gun to himself. Mie asks why John is doing such a dirty business. John reluctantly says that people can't change the world, and he tries to dissuade Mie. But he is shot in the thigh, and he falls groggy. If you see a little girl walking a lion in the mall, are you running quickly, or are you taking photos and posting on social media? Anyway, you are not in the mood to buy things anymore. Mie drives John's car with Charlie all the way north. But soon she gets lost. Fortunately, with Charlie's company, they look up at the sky together, hug and sleep. With such a big guy, Mie doesn't have to worry about safety at all. The next morning, Charlie walks back, happily jumps into the car. They keep going, but the grassland originally marked on the map has now become a small commodity wholesale city. Mie cannot believe looking at the map and finally finds out that it was published in 1997. There is no other way, she must cross the mall to reach the grassland. The car of course cannot go through, so Mie makes a bold move. When the mall show has started, customers in the mall can't believe the scene in front of them, they scatter and fled. But no one seems to dare to step forward to stop Mie. Before the police arrive, they finally reach the grassland. Zebras, elephants. This is animal paradise. Charlie leans over and sniffs the smell of the earth. It seems to have been to this place before. Watching Charlie thinking about the ostrich running, Mie knows that the days of parting are getting closer. One person and one lion walk through the grassland like this. Humans are not comparable to lions. Besides, Mie is still a child. She is exhausted soon. She can only drag Charlie's tail forward, and even complains about Charlie and asks it to go slowly. Charlie will still walk up to Mie and act like a baby, and urges her to go quickly. But when the gate of the sanctuary is near, Charlie roars. Mie shed tears. Whether it is a lion or a human, they all know that the moment of separation has come. Mie strokes Charlie the last time. Go, that place is your home, your true home. Charlie looks back at Mie, as if saying goodbye. Then it turns and walks towards the gate. But at this moment, the police arrive. They raise their guns at Charlie. Mie is exhausted, she cries loudly and begs John to help her. John finally gets in front of Charlie and just escorts Charlie step by step. When Mia sees Charlie again many years later, it is already the father of lion cubs. Its eyes are full of happiness. It has such an ancient legend circulating in the primitive tribes of Africa. No one knows where the white lion comes from, but it is extremely sacred. Someday it will show up to help humanity. It brings peace to nature.